So we are at the conclusion of season 6, pretty much right after the Champions League final loss to Al Nasser. And this episode is going to serve as kind of a state of the union for the club. We're going to update you all on how the club is looking, everything involved with it. And we're going to answer probably the most important question coming after this season is, did we repair the club's financial damage? But first, I thought it'd be fun to do the season review. So this will be the season review for this season. Looking at new arrivals, I don't actually remember who we brought in this year. Vicente Alonso, he had a good season. He had a good season in the league. I realized you guys didn't see much of him because of the foreign rules. We didn't play him much in the Champions League. But Vicente Alonso had a really good season, 21 goals, 17 assists, mostly in the league. David Seed at goalkeeper was really good as well. Emmanuel, we brought him in on a free. He had 8 goals and 12 assists in 14 appearances. He did play in the Champions League final, so you guys got a taste of him, and he will likely be the player that replaces Gorotzetegi. Yannick David, huge signing, 10 goals, 16 assists. Lloyd Fagerly had a good season. Talrook with 22 goals. At the bottom, Alvin Santos was huge, and then we bought Jay Reyes in on a free loan. Overall, I think one of our more successful transfer windows. I think pretty much everyone worked out this year. Looking at the season's results, obviously the league undefeated. We did super well there. Top goal scorer, Jesus Mendoza, 30 league goals. Asian Champions League, I mean, a great season, runner-up. The expectation was to be competitive, and we were brilliant. Top scorer again, Jesus Mendoza, finished third overall in Champions League scoring, and then PFL won the PFL Cup nicely. I also just realized these last 2 games here against Buram United and Hiroshima, those 2 games were incredible. Gorotzetegi scored in like the 90th minute to win this game, and then we ended up going to this game, and that got us into the knockout stages. Without that Gorotzetegi 90th minute winner, none of the rest of it would have happened. So that was fun. Fine. This was the first game. I thought this was the match here. This was the first Champions League match that we played, which we won 2-1, which was also huge for us. A match to remember was that one. Goal of the season was a Daniel McFall goal, and our biggest one was 10-0 over ADT. I'm going to skip past the finances so that you guys can see that later, but the big news is that we increased in everything phenomenally well. We also increased our reputation, which is nice. How did we line up this season? 4-2-4. This is pretty much what things looked like as we lined up. The only differences from maybe what you guys saw because of all the league matches is David Seed coming in and Vicente Alonso coming in, but they were brilliant all season. Accolades, what do we have for club awards? Fans Player of the Season, Mendoza. Young Player of the Season, Mendoza. Signing of the Season, Fagerly. That's an interesting one. I thought it might have been Vicente Alonso. Goal of the season was Daniel McFall. Top goal scorer, Mendoza. Top assister, Pradas. Player of the match, Mendoza. Highest average rating, Vicente Alonso. Very interesting there. Did we get any competition awards? Philippines Football League Player of the Year was Mendoza, and top goal scorer was Mendoza as well. And we have some new records. Mendoza broke the record for most goals in the season with 45, most league goals as well. Talrook had the most goals in a single match. Let's see, most assists by a player in a season now goes to Pradas. Most shutouts for David Seed. Player of the Match awards for Mendoza. Most league appearances by a player goes to Gorotzetegi. That'll be broken by Mendoza next season. League goals, 52 for Mendoza, and highest transfer fee received for Gorotzetegi. So a lot of good stuff there. History in the making. We completed the double. We were so close to a continental treble, but so far away at the same time. And finally, this is our head coach timeline. Really interesting stuff here. So do we have anything super interesting? We were head coach of the year. Do we have any other 10? We got 10 trophies. Our PFL Cup was our 10th trophy. That's quite exciting. We won the Football League, investing in potential. I wouldn't say anything else particularly interesting, though. But that was the 28-29 season review. Looking at our supporter profile, we 12% hardcore. We've lost some core supporters, but increased the number of fair weather supporters. Hopefully that's just an increase in the total number of supporters. Um, Looking at this here, it looks like we've increased our social media following by about 4.5K, but we still only have 30 season ticket holders. I wish we had more season ticket holders. That would be really nice. But the big question after this season is, have we repaired the club's financial damage? We absolutely have. We now have over 1.5 million pounds in the transfer budget after at one point this season being 657K in the red. But finally, we have gotten back into the positive. We have repaired the club's financial damage. Looking at it, most of the income does come from the Champions League run. So if we go through this season, most of everything comes from prize money, notably the Asian Champions League prize money. We got like 1.5 million from making the final, so pretty much all of this is coming from the final. But that is responsible for bringing in 2.6 mil, which is great. Otherwise, we do have improvements in fundraising, huge improvements in gate receipts, huge improvements in players sold, and big time improvements in TV revenue. The other thing that we've done is our player salaries are down from last season. A lot of that comes from sales and bringing in players like Garottegui and Gervais on a loan again, and a little bit of lowering of the bonuses, I think. I was a little bit more careful with not playing players for appearance fees and goal bonuses, clean sheet bonuses, and things like that. So I was quite cognizant of that throughout the season. So between the competition revenue and doing a little bit better with player salaries, we've done a lot better this season as far as just not losing a bunch of money. So what does that mean for us? Well, the question is, and you're going to see here, if we make a board request and we go to finance, there isn't the option here to go professional. That's because I've already clicked on it. So I'm going to move forward until the decision on whether or not we can go professional. And hopefully you guys will see today that we will once again be a professional club. So I'm going to move forward to that inbox item. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'll see you all in a little bit. Well, we're back. And for whatever reason, the board have rejected our request to go to professional. Looking at the finances, 1.5 mil. It only takes 1 mil to go professional in game. But for some reason, all right, what is the reason? We believe we could still achieve fame as a semi-pro side. People love to that is the stupidest reason in game for why to not go pro. We have enough money to go to professional. We've done it once. We can better manage our money. This is people, why? We don't need to be the underdog. We've won the PFL. We're not an underdog anymore. We made the Champions League final. How are we not going pro? We are absolutely discussing this issue with the board. Why do we should be looking to turn full-time in order to enhance the club's rec. I'm going to go with better players. Every club would like to sign the best possible. We are, dude, we have 1.5 mil in the bank. After I've all done this club, you could at least do this for me. I'm a legend of the club. Clearly, yes! We're back! We are back! We are going pro! Playing professional status. Welcome back, Mendiola FC. We are going to be a professional side once again in July of 2029. We have made it. We're back. Well, the news that we are going professional once again will change how I view the transfer window this summer, which the next episode should be the transfer window episode. But now that we're here, I want to talk a little bit about the future of the save. I'm going to go through the squad as well. Artie, I know you had mentioned that you want to see some of the squad, so I'm going to go through the squad as well. And then we'll take a look around the world. Wally, I know you had mentioned that you wanted to kind of see what the rest of the world looked like, so we will end the episode with that. But first up, I want to talk a little bit about the squad here and squad planning for next season, and we'll kind of take a look through all the players that I'm planning on building around. Because we're sort of in an interesting position, because obviously we have Garottegui here, who unfortunately got injured. He's still out for 3 more weeks, but he will be moving to Japan. He is, of course, we've relied on him heavily. And he plays on the wide, but he's very much built to be an inside forward. He's a goal scorer. We've seen him pop up time and time again with some important goals, and he's a very good player. And the player that's going to be replacing him in that position is Emmanuel, who I think Emmanuel is a very good player. Our coaches rate him a little bit more highly. But let's compare the two because they're two different players and we're going to have to potentially adjust things. And that Grotzategi is more of a goal scorer. We see here he has the holy trinity of finishing, dribbling, and first touch. Very good. He has got, good penalty taking, pretty good off the ball, and pretty good pace. So it'll be interesting because we're going to be switching now to a player on the left-hand side who's a little bit younger but plays more like a winger. Player with dribbling and crossing, pace, acceleration, balance, and agility. He's meant to beat players and put it into the box, while Grotzategi was more meant to score. So it's going to be interesting looking next season because we did get a lot of goals from Grotzategi. It'll be interesting to see how having a new player on that side might affect how we play. But I like Emmanuel. I have a lot of trust in him. And I think he's going to be the long-term replacement to Grotzategi. He will be the player taking over that left-hand side, even in continental competition. Of course, though, our star player from this season was Luis Miguel Pradas, just continuing to look like a fantastic player. He is developing even at a semi-professional level. I mean, he's still developing very well. Pace is nice, balance and stamina are all increasing. He has excellent physicals, mentals have come through nicely, and he's still excellent technically. Again, he's a player that is a bit more of a playmaker than Grotzategi, but he can still score a lot of the goals. Again, good finishing, good dribbling. We saw him pop up time and time again. Excellent player. Of course, the question is, can we keep him? Hopefully going to professional status will allow us to do a better job of keeping him. But as you guys can see here, he's wanted by Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, and PSG. He's our star player. I hope we can keep him. And I mean, it'd be great to have him because I don't think there's much time left in the save. I would like to keep him. Of course, our other star player from this season, the player who scored 30 league goals and 45 goals overall, is Jesus Mendoza, and he continues to look phenomenal. I think he's developed well because of that fairly professional personality, but great holy trinity, great dribbling, finishing, first touch. He's a leader now, and I think he will eventually be the captain of this team. He also has good physicals. I mean, 12 jumping reach and 13 pace at this level is fantastic. He's a great all-around striker. I mean, he's going to be a Mendiola legend. The other player who I think is probably the most important in this team, and the reason for that is because he's Filipino, so we need him for continental competition, is Alvin Santos. And I think he's done quite well this season. He's very versatile. I've trained him to play left back, so now he can play all across the back line, which is huge for us. Other than jumping reach, he's very good physically. He's got good pace, good stamina, good balance. He's got good marking and tackling. So overall, a very fantastic player. Of course, you guys know him pretty well too because he is in our Philippines squad. But again, professional personality. But the big thing with him is, as you guys can see here, he's also, I mean, a Filipino player is wanted by Chelsea, United, and PSG. It'll be important that we can keep hold of him as well. I think Santos is actually the most important player to keep a hold of this year. But other than that, players that I'm kind of building around for next season is Vicente Alonso, the player that we brought in. Great holy trinity, great pace. We play him up top. He's got a really good relationship with Mendoza in the league, so he's been fantastic. On the other end, our other Filipino striker, Talarok, who I don't think is definitely not as good as Vicente Alonso, but again, he's Filipino up top. He's built as kind of a target forward, so he's got the 15 jumping reach, decent pace, 14 finishing. I wish his heading was a little bit better. But overall, a pretty solid player who got 13 goals in the league. He got 2 goals in continental competition. So overall, he was a pretty good, serviceable player. Yannick David next up. Yannick David, who was phenomenal throughout the course of the season, came up with so many big goals. I think he plays much, much better than his attributes here. I mean, he's very good mentally. He's got good pace on him, but I think he plays much better. Like, I think we've seen some incredible passing from him and some incredible long shots that aren't necessarily reflected in his attributes. I think he's a player who just plays better than he is. He was phenomenal this season. I mean, he scored 6 goals in the Champions League, and all 6 goals were huge. So he was definitely one of my favorite players this season. When we signed him in the summer, I didn't think much of him, but he came huge this season. Very excited to see what he can do next season. All right, I think now we kind of just go down. Leonardo, we signed him in the off season, a player at left back who's pretty solid. I don't really know what we're going to do with him necessarily because we have Martin, but he doesn't play much in the Champions League. So we'll see what we do with him over the summer. But I mean, great player who is developing pretty well, tackling high. I think he's got great stamina. So overall, physically, he's pretty good. He contrasts with Martin, if I can find Martin, the other player who can play kind of on the left and right side. Martin's a little bit better physically, but I think maybe technically Leonardo's a little bit better. But overall, they're pretty even. It'll be interesting to see what we do with them this season. In goal in the league, David has played most games. I actually only signed him because the players were unhappy because they felt like we lacked depth in goal. Seed was the option. He's our first choice goalkeeper. Overall, he's really good. Don't play him a whole lot because of the foreign player rules. So this is Seed. Of course, most of the time we are playing our other goalkeeper, Julian Schwartzer. He did really well in continental competition this year. He's not fantastic, but I think he's a good enough shot stopper to be fine. The young player coming through, of course, in goal is John Reyes. He had a huge match for us in one of the knockout games. I think he will be better than Julian Schwartz. I just don't think he's quite there yet. We do have an interesting position as far as center back is concerned. So Steve Atangana, who's on huge money, has been one of our most important players, even in continental competition. He has everything that you want in a good center back, other than maybe a little bit better jumping reach. But overall, he's got good mentals, he's got heading, marking, and tackling, and he's got decent pace. However, I sent out Zubi Zareta, which you guys might remember him from last year. I sent him out on loan to Spain this season because I just needed his wages taken care of. But I think Zubi Zareta is now better than Atangana, which he wasn't at the beginning of the year. So I think if we compare them, I think he is going to be a player who ends up replacing him. I mean, Zubi Zareta's in the green here. They're very similar, but Zubi Zareta is better physically. It'll be really interesting when they come back, but I think there's a good chance Zubi Zareta comes in and takes over that starting role. All right, who else have we got here? Daniel McFall. He's a young Australian player who we had to play in the Champions League final, who I wasn't a huge fan of. To be honest, I think this is a player I'm going to end up selling. We might keep him, but I'm leaning towards selling him. I don't think he's quite developed how I wanted to. I also think his potential ability isn't as high as I might have thought it was when we first signed him. But I think he's a bit slow. I want to play him in a box to box, which he has. I think Yannick David has honestly just been so much better that we don't really need Daniel McFall anymore. But we'll see. He's a good backup option. Who else do we have? Lloyd Fagerly here. Great season. I think as far as a Filipino winger is concerned, he's done a great job in replacing Kainoa Bailey. 7 goals and 4 assists in the league. He got 1 goal in continental competition, but he had 3 assists. Overall, super solid. Carlos Carrion, another Filipino player who's coming through the ranks. Honestly, great mentally and technically. It's just he's so slow. He's got 9 pace, 7 stamina, and 8 strength. If this was better, he would be so good. But technically, he's good. Mentally, he's good. I don't know what I'm going to do with him. I think he'll stay on the bench. John Lucero was an important player for us throughout. I don't think he's great. I was actually a little bit disappointed with how he played continentally this year. 6.58 overall rating. I never thought he was brilliant, but he's not a great marker or tackler, but he has the physical attributes to be good, which is why he's really important for us. But I hope that we can sign a better Filipino defender so that he's more of just someone helping us off the bench. The other player, Joshua Albino, he's coming through the ranks. He's young, not sky high potential that I thought he might have had, but he's a solid bench player for us. He'll continue to be in that role. Pete Ferrosuelo, going through the Filipino players, I think he's been the one who's been so good for us this year. He's so good physically. If his strength was higher, he'd be amazing. But good jumping reach, good pace, good tackling. Overall this season, I think he was phenomenal. He even got an important goal for us against Buriram United. But Ferrosuelo is one that we're definitely keeping. We definitely need him. Justin Boss, I mean, we only really have him at this point because he's Filipino. His contract expires in a year, and we might release him after that. But I think he was super important when we got him, but now I just think we're better than him. Was he any good this year? 6.97 overall rating, 6.53 rating in the Champions League. So it's just a little bit of a step up for him. But overall, he's a Filipino player, so he is important for us. Um, And then, players here like Nicholas Badia, I mean, not very good, but he's coming up through the ranks. We have Christopher Reyes here, another player who came up through the ranks who's not very good, but he does fill out one of those Filipino places. But the last player, I mean, I think we've been through everyone here, but the last player I want to talk about is Kenshiro Daniels, because I think we're going to see the end of his career soon. He's an impact sub at this point. He has one more year left on his contract, and he's paid a lot. As you guys can see, he's not the player he once was. Physically, he's declining. The acceleration, the agility, the pace, all of these things are pretty bad. He's also declined technically. He's 34 years old, so I'm not surprised at any of that. But he's a player who I've really loved, like throughout this save, even this season. 8 goals and 8 assists. Last season, 14 goals, 16 assists. He got the record for assists in a season. But I just don't necessarily think he contributes well for us in the Champions League anymore, which is what we need him to do. 6.62 average rating, and I just felt like when we put him on the end to help change games, closer to the end of that run, I don't feel like he contributed. I feel like he's such a big step down from Fajrli. So we will have him this season, but we're going to let his contract run out. And I assume he's going to retire after that. We're already seeing the staff attributes. It's a player that I'll be sad to let go because I think he's helped us out a lot in these 2 seasons, but I think his time is coming to an end. So that is pretty much what our squad looks like for this season. We will, of course, be playing the 4-2-4. We'll stick Tyler here. This is what Champions League matches are likely going to look like. So let's put Atangana there, Lucero there. So maybe it'll look something like this. But, oh wait. All right, I figured out. Hopefully, Champions League matches will look something like this again next season with Schwarter, Santos, Prosuela, Atangana, Lucero, and our normal front six just with Emmanuel instead of Grotzategi. But it'll be interesting to see what we do in the off season. I think important position is going to be to the wingers. I would like to bring in a Filipino winger to back up Fajrli. Now that Daniels is kind of not as good as he used to be, I'd like to bring in a Filipino forward player. I have some players in mind for that, but I'll wait for the transfer special. And we definitely need to shore up the defense. Definitely a good Filipino center back will be important for us. So we'll be looking at the Philippines national team. We'll be scouring the world for Filipino players that we might not know about. And hopefully we'll be able to improve this squad to compete in the Champions League again next season. But speaking of next season, I do want to briefly talk about the future of this save because it is coming to an end. And I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watching. This has been so much fun to do. And thank you to everyone who's watching. And I hope you all are enjoying it as much as I've been. But the future of this save is that FM25 comes out November 26th. And I am filming this video the day before it comes out, essentially. So we're pretty much on the same timeline here. This is where I am and playing the save, which is going to be the same as the episodes that are released. So because FM25 was delayed to November 26th, I think we have 2 more seasons left in this save. And because of that, I'm going to be playing the save a little bit differently now. I'm going to have more of a short-term outlook on it because I want to do as well as we can. I want to try and win the Champions League before FM25 comes out. And when FM25 comes out, I will be playing a new save and a new episodic series, which will be essentially similar to what we see here. But because of that, I will be playing this a little bit differently. I'm definitely going to have a more short-term outlook on the save, and I will be focusing on trying to get Mendiola to the Champions League final once again. Hopefully we can do a little bit better. But I just want to let you all know that I'm hoping it'll be 2 more seasons. It will depend a lot on my school schedule and what I've got to do for school. But assuming things continue along as they are, I expect to be able to do 2 more seasons of this save. But all right, that's pretty much what I've got for the Mendiola side of things here. The next time I see you guys will be with the Philippines. It will be for the end of World Cup qualifying, which we're still technically in. But like with the next game, we'll probably be out. But I'll still show that for you guys just so that you all can see that. We'll come back for probably the Uzbekistan game. Let's go around the world. What is happening? Let's do some world building with this save. Let's see what's going on in the rest of the world. So let's go to some of the major European leagues. Let's start off with the Champions League. Who's been winning the Champions League? PSG's won it 3 years in a row. They're going to win it 4 years in a row. That's really, I don't like PSG in game. That is not what I wanted to see. But past winners here. So since we started, Bayern won it. Bayern beat Napoli. City beat Arsenal. That's crazy. And then PSG have won it 3 years in a row. Well, hopefully Bayern can beat them. Who is on PSG? Again, I started this save at the beginning of FM25 here because I've just seen here, if we go to start, Kylian Mbappe is still on PSG. They re-signed him. So in FM25 or FM24 at the beginning, oh wow, he's so good. PSG keeps Mbappe, and he's insane still. I forgot how good Donnarumma. They have Bukayo Saka now. That's crazy. Or Inzaghi. Otherwise, though, their team looks pretty. Gabriel Martinelli. Oh, and Gabriel as well. But honestly, their team is not super different from how they start off the game. They're still very, very good. Since we have PSG, I don't have League One loaded, if I could speak. But PSG's won it. Not super surprised there. Looking at the English Premier League, it looks like a race for the ages. On goal differential, Chelsea beat out City by 4 goals. What a title race. And the top 4 were all within 3 points of each other. United, Liverpool, City, and Chelsea were all within 3 points. That's a wild title race. Looking at the past winners here, it looks like, oh, I didn't have this loaded for a while. I only loaded it recently. But City won it, Arsenal won it, and then Liverpool, Chelsea, and Chelsea. So actually a lot of parity in the English Premier Division. Looking at La Liga, Real Madrid have won it every season. So not super surprised there. And they've won it again this season by nearly 10 points. I don't have Serie A loaded, but looking at them, it's a lot of parity here. So Napoli, of course, won it before, then Inter, AC Milan, Inter, and Napoli again. So Serie A has probably been one of the most interesting of all the leagues. So those were the top 5 leagues in Europe. Looking at the Europa League, it looks like the most recent winners were Real Sociedad, and Tottenham and Liverpool are going to be playing in the final. And looking at past winners, looks like Liverpool won it the first year, United, Chelsea. It's always like the best English teams usually win it in Football Manager. But nice to see Leipzig and Real Sociedad winning it as well. Of course, this season though will be either Liverpool or Tottenham. Have Tottenham won a trophy yet? Ange Postecoglou's still there, but have they won a trophy since? Let's go overview. Have they won a trophy since the game has started? They were runners up. No, they have not won a trophy. They have a Europa Conference League runner up. Oh no, they won the Carabao Cup. I take that back. They have won a trophy. No wonder Ange Postecoglou's still at the club. They won the Carabao Cup. Looking at that, Tottenham beat Man City on pens. Congratulations to Ange Postecoglou for getting Spurs a trophy. But Europa Conference League here, looking at past winners, Atletico Pamplona won it. That's so interesting. And then Brentford, Nice, Fiorentina, and Newcastle. A fun, different amount of winners in the Europa Conference League. I think that's awesome. And Atalanta and Marseille vying it out in the final. Well, that is pretty much a look around the world, and I think that's everything I've got for today's video. So this is the end of Season 6. Finances looking good. It's going to be a very interesting transfer window, but overall, that's the state of union for the club. That's a look at all the players and a look around the world. And if there's anything else you all would like to see in this save as I go into the next episode, please let me know, and I will definitely try to include it so that you guys can see whatever you want to see in the save. But next episode is going to be a transfer special, I think. And then after that, hopefully we'll move into the next season, try to get in at least 2 more seasons prior to the release of FM25. But until then, again, a massive, massive thank you to everyone who has watched any of these episodes. I really appreciate you all tuning in and watching. This is a lot of fun for me, and I hope it's a lot of fun for you. But yeah, next time I see you guys, well, I guess it'll be a transfer special and World Cup, the end of World Cup qualifying for the Philippines. But until then, Massive thank you. I hope you all are doing well. I hope you all are taking care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon. Bye.